Hey guys, I'm Logan. This is The Long Drive, and welcome back. Today we are starting off at 5,060 kilometers. We are a smidge off technically from where we ended. There was an issue with the save. So I had to get us back to about where we were. I went ahead and cleared out the trip odometer. Everything should about be back to normal. However, thinking about it, I did notice that somehow, somewhere, we lost all our jerry cans. I don't know when that happened, where that happened, but they're gone. So all that fuel and oil is just gone. I'm guessing there was a wreck at some point or some physics related nonsense, but it's gone. So we have, I think, about a quarter of a tank, somewhere around 10 liters of fuel in the tank, plus we have a full tank on top. So we've got about 50 ish, 50 to 55 liters of fuel, which is over a full tank of gas, obviously. Hey, look at that. It doesn't have an engine though, which is a bummer. But that's exactly what we were talking about taking on the return trip. Oh, but anyway, so guys, we are back. We are starting at 5,060 kilometers today. Um, like I said last time, we are sort of in uncharted waters, simply meaning we don't really know how far we have. So, I mean, generally we always say, oh, we're going to 5,000 kilometers. Well, we've passed 5,000 kilometers and we're still chugging along. So we can see the road definitely trails off at least a little ways into the distance. So starting at 5,060, technically 5,061, we'll be able to know exactly, roughly, where we end. So today, much like last time, we're going to drive until we hit 100 kilometers or the end of the road, whichever comes first. Once we run out of fuel and we top off the tank, I will probably start looking for more fuel. And if we find a ship very close to the road, which we've passed a couple, go ahead and try to load up on some diesel. Because I do think on the return trip, when we start, we're going to do a diesel only run. I'm thinking a big vehicle. We've kind of went for like fast. I started to say smaller, but that's really not true because the truck, Van Helsing, and Christine are all large vehicles. So that's not entirely accurate, but my point is, I think we're going to do a diesel only run. Big vehicles, so like buses, vans, trucks, big heavy vehicles like that. A little bit slower, more prone to tipping over, higher center of gravity, all that stuff, but a bit of a different challenge, especially going up and down hills, things like that. So yeah, we're just kind of cruising along today. We're going to see what happens. In theory, the end of the road could be around any corner, any hill, any dip could be the end of the road. Oh, so I've actually done really good, if you guys have noticed, getting an episode out every week for about 5-6 weeks straight now, which is, in my current hectic schedule, much harder than I would think. Oh, yes. But I've managed it. It's fine. We can see the road still curves around up there, or at least the light poles do. So I think I mentioned that once or twice already, but with some of these updates, I've not finished a game in a while. So I really don't know if, I would imagine the light poles are tied to road generation and thus will end when the road does, but I don't know that for certain. So it may very well be that the road ends and the light poles keep going, which could be especially troublesome at night because we tend to just kind of keep an eye out for the light poles. So if the road ends and we just see the light poles way off in the distance, say over there to the left, we might drive clear past the end of the road, hit the light poles, and be like, well, crap. And then we backtrack to the road. I don't know. I just don't know, guys. it's fun though. We're having fun. Oh, get back on the road. See, this is why I try not to drive in third person. I tend to be looking around all over the place, and that in turn means that I'm going to cause a wreck one way or another. Plus, I like the first person driving. It feels more realistic. My buddy Adam, he plays Grand Theft Auto in third person. What is it? Third person driving, first person on foot. I don't know how he does it. I think a game either needs to be third person or first person. Or you can choose. But if there's vehicles, things like that, well, you need to be one or the other. Good lord, the road is still going. Dang. How are we doing on food and water? Alright, we're fine. We need to potty just a little bit. There's a car. Alright, so food's fine, water's fine. I did take care of that when I got us back to where we had ended. We were down to our last 20% of fuel. So we will probably maybe run out of fuel today, have to top off. Which I was not at all concerned about fuel until I realized all of that fuel was gone. The barrel is empty. The tank has less than 10 liters of fuel. And once we fill up with the barrel on top, we are going to be out of fuel. Yeah. We lost, what was that, 20, 40, 60 liters of fuel, so that's a tank and a half. So that's a big bummer. I really don't even know when that happened, to be honest. I'm guessing there was a wreck or some physics related nonsense that we just missed somewhere along the way, or that I missed. Yeah, that's no bueno. No bueno at all. Alright, so the road does continue on and curves that way. So right now especially, I am chopping a little bit more off the corners, just because we have way bypassed. So let's see, if we started at 61, we're at 78 now. So 5,078. So we're pushing 100 miles past what should be the end of the road, or kilometers, I guess. And we can see it still curves off that way up the hill. So I'm trying to get us to the end, but it is a mystery, honestly. Like, it's yeah, it's a little annoying, just because it's like, oh, the road ends at 5. Well, it does, but it doesn't. Like, we've known that from the beginning. We knew that the road doesn't actually end at 5,000. It's somewhere around there. So you can see it's still climbing off into the distance. So it looks like we're about to hit 20 on the day. So that puts us at, there we go. I was at 81, 5,081. Gas station on a hill, not gonna stop. Probably won't stop until we either wreck, run out of gas, or find the end of the road. Which, judging from how much fuel we had, is probably going to be the cause of our first stop for the day. Which, I mean, this Fury, there we go, engine, it pushes. I mean, we're going, was about 150, smidge under 150 kilometers an hour. So, not shabby at all. Not at all. But it is a thirsty, thirsty engine. And actually, now that we've lost our oil, that's another bad thing. We've lost our oil, which means when this thing wants some more engine oil, which it's going to want soon, we do not have any to put into it. So there is a ship over there. I really don't want to stop at it, and I don't think it's really close to where we're going anyway. So the road does curve, so we're going to do something a little questionable. I'm probably going to regret this. but I'm cutting off this huge horseshoe bend. Looks like the road way out there. Come on. Turn. What was that? Oh, just a contrail. Yeah. Okay. So the road there, and then at some point curves back over that way. So let's just keep going this way. We've got the speed, we might as well use it. Chop off a little extra distance where we can, when we can. Alright, so we can still see the road way out there, so it's not going to be anywhere soon. Although sometimes it can be deceiving. My first game that I completely finished, I would have sworn there was still a good ways to go, and all of a sudden, boom, into the road. And I think that's partly to do with the way it generates terrain and the road around you. So it's like, oh, well, it's probably just moving into the hill there, and then shaboom, there it was. We have lost the road. There's the road. Alright, so we were actually still heading toward it. So assuming that up there is the road, which it looks like it is, we are going to zip across here and just make a straight line up this hill at 150 kilometers plus and see what happens. So the sun is setting, which means, yep, we can see the streetlights kicking in. There we go. Perfect. So once the sun fully sets and we get back on the road, we will probably, well, I started to say we would probably go ahead and sleep, but that means stopping. We weren't going to stop until we ran out of gas. So maybe let's just drive through the night. When we run out of gas, we'll go to sleep. And from there, we'll wake up, we'll eat, drink, be merry, and fill up the fuel. I think that's a good way to do it. We really shouldn't have a whole lot of fuel left. Like I said, we only had a smidge over 10 liters when we started, and we've already went 30 kilometers. 3, 6, 9, 12. So yeah, we should be out of fuel just about any time now, because I think we said we were getting about 120 to 150 on a tank, which is kind of less than we had expected. Bouncy, 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 right onto the road. Perfect. Alright, so as we come over this hill, each additional light brings sadness to my heart. Oh, come on, man. Alright, so let's remember we gotta add 60 to the odometer, and that tells us how far over 5,000 we are. So we're coming up, so it's at 61, so at 39, we'll be at 5,100 kilometers. So 33, 369, 12, 130-ish kilometers on a tank of gas. So not too bad about what we would expect. So I'm imagining we are going to run out of fuel any minute now. So like I said, we'll stop then, we'll sleep, eat, drink, fill up the gas tank, and get back on the road. Bus stop, please don't spy on a bus. Okay. We definitely need some oil as well, some engine oil. He said we were at 1.9 liters. This thing does have a bit of an issue with burning oil, so that's definitely something we need to be aware of. Bouncy, bouncy, bouncy. Bouncy, bouncy, bouncy. Bouncy, bouncy. Well, every kilometer we go that we have not run out of fuel, I'm thinking, well, that's impressive. thought I saw something, but it was just a dark mark. Do 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 do. Well, still more lights. Still more road. Still more lights. Still more road. So, what's that show called? Jack Reacher. Season 2 has been out for a little while now, and I really want to watch it. I saw 1 or 2 episodes of the first season, and I enjoyed it well enough. I didn't care a whole lot for when he was in jail getting info or whatever. That was just kind of drawn out and boring to me for whatever reason. But I do want to go back, watch season 1 and 2, because I've heard such good things about it. Everybody seems to love it. And I did enjoy the movies with Tom Cruise. I know a lot of people complained about his casting, saying that Reacher is supposed to be this big, imposing man. And of course, Tom Cruise is like 5'5". He's this kind of tiny, scrawny guy. So a lot of people were upset about his casting. And I never read the books, so I really can't comment on that. I thought the movies were good. I thought they were well done. The first one was better than the second one, I thought, but I did enjoy them. So I'm excited to see the show. I know they said that the actor they picked for Reacher was much more appropriate in matching the physical description of the character, which apparently anymore doesn't matter because reasons, I guess. Which that is one thing that annoys me. Now, I'm not getting on a political tangent. I'm not saying that, people can't be recast, that we can't do all sorts of stuff. But if a character, especially in existing media, is described as being one way, you need to make every good effort to match that description. Like if I'm reading a book and it describes the character as being exceptionally tall with a thin, like very skinny build and very dark skin, you need to find a tall, thin, dark-skinned actor or actress if it's a female character. Oh, and we are out of fuel. We are out of fuel entirely. So let's go ahead and coast to a stop here. We'll have us asleep. There we go. And we will wake up in the morning and take care of a couple of things right at the double building. But, yeah, I think if a character that already exists is described as XYZ, you need to match that character description. There's no reason to say, oh, well, they were described this way, but we don't like that. We're going to do blah, blah, blah. That's just my opinion. It's different for everybody, I know. But that's how I feel about it. And full. Alright. So we've got a full tank of gas. So let's put this guy right back where he came from, because we want to keep him. So now let's come back here. Let's grab this. We're going to have us a bite. We're going to drink this. We're going to have us a potty. If we can. Doesn't always want to happen. Alright, looks like it's not going to happen. Let's move out of the way of the door and pick this up, move that, close that, and we are off. Alright, so full tank of fuel. We are out of reserve fuel entirely. Yeah, so entirely out of fuel except for what is in the tank. So we're going to need to stop soon and start looking for additional fuel. Actually, oh, slow down, slow down. What are the chances that thing is full of gas? What are the chances? Alright, let's just stop and look. Just stop and look. It is full of nothing. Great. Autosave. Which, autosave can be a blessing. The last episode, when we lost our save, and I had to go back and do the whole 100 kilometers over, we were actually saved by the autosave. because it actually saved in about 60 some kilometers, so I only had to do about 40 as opposed to the full 100. So that was nice, but still a pain in the butt. Alright, so now is when we have to start making choices again. So we're pushing 45 kilometers. That puts us well over the 100-mile or kilometer mark beyond the end of the road. So, what does that mean? Well, that doesn't really mean anything. The road could just end at any point is what that means. But we have less than a full tank of fuel. We have no reserve fuel now. None. Zero. We have no oil. We have food, so we're fine on food. Our water is okay. It's getting a little scarce. So we had a big stockpile of things. Some physics shenanigans caused us to lose our stockpile. And then, of course, just driving, we have went through fuel. So, what do we need to do? Well, we need to worry about the return trip. We don't want to coast to the finish line with no fuel and say, well, we're out of fuel. The last point of interest was 4 kilometers back, and we have no food, no water, no gas. And just hope that it's running uphill. We definitely do not want that. So I guess I think what we're going to do today, we're just going to finish driving either into the road or 100 kilometers, which at this point it looks like it's going to end up being the 100 kilometers. It's, yeah, I don't know. We're pushing 50 already. It's been about 23 minutes, which makes sense. So we're going to be aiming for about the 100 kilometers, I think. I mean, obviously the road could end at the top of this hill, but I've just got a feeling it doesn't. We just saw a little bit of it there. So I feel like it's just not going to end anytime soon. So I think what we're probably going to do, full speed send it, push it to the end of the 100 today, and then next week pick back up and start the normal grind, stopping at gas stations, diners, things like that, stocking up on water. If we get lucky and find a ship, stock up on fuel. Otherwise, just keep topping off the tank as we can. If we find 2 or 3 back to back, you know, top off the tank and then put a little into reserves. But considering how scarce the points of interest have been of late, kind of reminds me of the early game where we were struggling quite a bit. Like, we would go 30, 40 kilometers and find no points of interest. So I'm kind of thinking it feels like that a little bit, but whoosh, whoop, there you go. Yeah, so we'll just kind of start doing that again. Hopefully there will be a ship next to the road or close enough to the road that a detour is not a big deal. Oh, Devil Road. And we can find a nice big barrel of gasoline that is undiluted. Because that's the big problem, you know, is we find, 35 liters mixed gas and oil. Which, I mean, is great if you're running a 2-stroke, but... Come on. Alright, we're going a little fast, and we're going downhill. Let's try to slow it down a smidge. There we go. Because we have buried the speedometer. If a rock or anything comes up... Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Okay, we're good. We're good. We're good. Okay. Yeah, I think... Yeah, we're good. Okay, we are good. So let's get back on it. Whew. Dang. Okay. Yeah, I was like, we're going really fast. If we hit something, it's going to go whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. And that's exactly what happened. I love the fast, but going downhill is a little concerning at those kind of speeds. You get off the side of the road, a rock spawns in late, all sorts of things. The next thing you know, you're flipping down a hill at 200 kilometers an hour, which is what's about to happen if we don't slow down. Although it does make for some excitement, gets the heart rate up. Speaking of getting the heart rate up, so I don't know if I told you guys, I got the Oculus Quest 3. So like I've been into VR for a few years now. Originally I got the HP headset, which was cool. Like, it was my intro to VR. Adam had gotten one. I went over to his place, played on it, was blown away by VR and how cool it was. So I went out. Oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no. Okay, oh no, okay, okay. Alright, back on the. Oh yes, okay. Ooh. I was on the brakes that whole time, just trying to slide down the hill. Okay. But was blown away by VR and kind of what it could mean for the future. Not just for gaming, but for workspaces, for education. Because, oh geez, especially during the virus of unspecified origin, a lot of schools, they went remote. They said, it's not safe to have the students here, but we can't just stop their education for a year while this thing runs its course. So let's go remote. We'll teach class via Zoom. Well, imagine being able to do that, but in a virtual classroom, where you can still interact with each other, where you can interact with items in a virtual classroom, where you can see a teacher, an instructor, professor, whatever, showing off a beaker of chemicals and the reactions that happen with those when they're mixed in a completely safe but still hands-on environment. Being able to virtually explore the nation's capital when your students are based in Oklahoma or Washington State. Living 6-7 hours in a less affluent county from the capital, but still being able to go and visit a Capitol building in virtual reality. Same with meetings. Have virtual meetings anywhere in the world with team members. You can have a virtual whiteboard that everybody can see and draw on. That kind of thing is, to me, almost as exciting as gaming in virtual reality. Because yeah, VR gaming is super cool. I mean, being able to look around and move within the game world is immersive in a way that no two-dimensional screen can be. But until we get to like Ready Player One, the Oasis levels of virtual reality, where you're on a treadmill and all of your movements are tracked and mapped one-to-one within the game world perfectly, that's a long ways off. Like, this new Quest, super cool. The hand tracking is so much improved compared to what I was used to with the Quest 2, which was fine, but this one, like, I can see it tracking the outline of my hand. I can put down any assortment of fingers and watch as it's mapping my hand to the virtual environment. I can interact with things. I can poke screens. I can pick up a screen that's in front of me, move it to the side, and talk to somebody face to face while still having the headset on, move the screen back and interact with it like it's a physical screen in a physical space. That kind of thing, super cool. Getting to the point that we can have integrated augmented reality, which has downsides that I'll get to in a minute, but imagine being able to just think or connect your phone to it and have your phone say, oh, I'm in Washington, D.C. How do I get to the Smithsonian Museum walking? And instead of having to constantly look at your phone or a watch or something like that, a heads-up display integrated into your vision or your glasses even. pops up and says, "Oh, I know where you are. The road is in front of you," and it just puts out like an arrow pointing the way to your destination. That would be amazing. That would be life-changing. Now, of course, the downsides, it's going to be commercialized, and you're going to have pop-up ads and commercials and everything else. Like, you're walking down the street, and a little ad pops up in the corner. "You're only 1 block away from McDonald's. Turn left now to get a hot and fresh quarter pounder made to order." Like, that's going to be terrible. But if we can get things in place, ad blockers or legislation to say that that's opt-in kind of things, that won't be as big of an issue, but it still will be an issue. But still, the options are endless. I mean, even now, you can just go into YouTube videos, and in the few clicks of a button and putting on a headset, I'm standing on a beach in the Maldives. I'm looking at the Eiffel Tower in Paris. I'm staring down into the Grand Canyon. All of that from my living room. Like, yeah, the headsets are expensive, but so is a trip to Paris. So is a trip to the Caribbean or to California, whatever. So I can spend $500 and have a virtual experience of visiting these places, or spend $5,000 and actually go. Now, of course, the two are only comparable in that you're seeing something, but seeing it in person and seeing a photo of it, even a three-dimensional photo, not at all the same. Not at all the same. I mean, driving a car here at 180 kilometers an hour is not at all the same as getting on a real road in the middle of the night and going 180 kilometers an hour. That's absolutely insane. Nobody should ever do that. And there's a lot more at risk. I mean, if I flip this thing down the hill, we go bouncy bouncy. The car keeps on driving. You know, maybe we bonk our head, we take some spray, and we move on. But real life, there's consequences. So yeah, I mean, it's a semi-comparable experience, although not really at all in any way, shape, or form. So it's, I don't know, it's fun. I think the future of it, if we get buy-in, is amazing. And oh geez, back on the road. And I'm mostly just hoping that it doesn't, oh, we hit a rock. Okay, we're bouncing, we're fine. Oh, we might be okay. Alright, we lost a headlight. But we're back on the road. Everything else seems to be in order, so let's have us asleep and do a quick check. Whew, Lord. Okay. Alright, that looks fine, that looks fine. Everything looks okay, minus the headlight. Which, yeah, I don't care. We still have a headlight. When we stop and look for fuel next week, we can hopefully find a headlight. So there is a lot more road stretching out in front of us. Wow. And we are pushing 80 kilometers this episode. That is insane. Phew. But, yeah, I really just hope it doesn't become a fad, kind of like 3D movies and 3D TV. Because think about it. Like, I've not been to the movies a lot the past few years. Like, I love going to the movies. I love the movies. You guys know that. I talk almost every week about a new movie that I watched and whether I enjoyed it or not. Yeah, it just, I'm really hoping that it doesn't become a fad like 3D movies and TV. Because when was the last time you saw a movie advertises, oh, it's in 3D? Or you went to the theaters and saw a movie in 3D. Or you saw a TV on sale that was a 3D TV. Like, oh, you have to have these glasses and they have to do stuff. Like, you can't just sit down and watch something in 3D. Ooh, sorry about that. It has to be a whole ordeal, which I think is part of why 3D movies and 3D TV in general were kind of a fad. And I mean, you never saw like TV shows filmed in 3D for 3D TVs. It just never happened. So it's just kind of like, will it continue to happen? Will it happen in the future? Who knows? I think the fact that we are getting, ooh, a lot of stuff right there, that we are getting more 3D content, or 3D VR content, that we're getting support for games in VR, I think is a big deal. Even just like head tracking. Like if you still play the game with a controller, being able to say, wow, I can look around in Grand Theft Auto in VR. Being able to say, wow, I'm flying a ship in No Man's Sky in VR, but you're still using a controller, is a big step forward. And then getting that to like full immersion. Because like think about the guys that spend thousands of dollars on sim racing or truck driving simulators. Like full rigs, like we're talking like steering wheels and pedals and shifters, seats that mimic consoles and cockpits and all this stuff for racing sims, flight sims, truck sims, farming sims, whatever. And then being able to do all that while wearing a VR headset. It's going to look and feel like you're sitting inside of a cockpit, either like a fighter jet or a semi-truck or a race car. I mean, imagine you spend 6 hours a day. You're a content creator full-time, you stream Twitch, whatever. And your job is to spend 8 hours a day playing racing games and interacting with your chat. Imagine being able to put on a headset, sit in a racing chair, in a racing harness with a racing steering wheel, gearbox, everything, and in VR have like a little chat window up over here that you can read and respond to while being able to fully look around while you're in a race. That would be crazy. And you can do it now. But it's only going to get better if they continue to put the time and effort into it. And then eventually, yeah, we might get to Ready Player One levels of immersion, where you have full body haptic suits, full body tracking, where you can stand on a treadmill that you're kind of strapped into, that you actually walk on or run on, and every bit of that is mapped out and processed by the game. Every bit of it. How cool would that be? It would just, I don't know, it'd be super cool. Whether we'll get there or not, I think it just depends on how many people buy into VR, of course. I mean, it's about the money at the end of the day. Like, yeah, it may start as a passion project, and some people may build things and do things out of passion, but at the end of the day, if nobody's buying it, then they're not going to have the funding. They're not going to be able to make new headsets and new games and new equipment if it's costing hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars in development and production and research if nobody buys it. I mean, I don't want it to just kind of be like a pipe dream. So if you guys have the means and you're into it, by all means, please go out, buy VR, support it. I picked up Power Washing Simulator in VR. I played it on the desktop, like just kind of as a casual, like throw on a YouTube or a movie, watch it while I'm playing Power Washing Sim. So much fun. So, it was addictive, it was satisfying, it was easy, relaxing. I loved it. So as soon as I heard it's coming to VR, I bought 2 copies, one for me, one for my girlfriend. She gets on the Oculus 2 that I had, I hop in the Oculus 3, and we can co-op on Pressure Washing Sim. Like, we just get to sit there and hang out and chat, listen to music, and pressure wash things. It's super cool. We can stand, we can sit, whatever. Super fun, really nice. I loved it. Spent 40 bucks on it. So much fun. So all that stuff is just there and immersive. I love it. Oh, down the hill, down the hill. Still seeing road in the distance. Ooh, come on, don't do it. Alright. So we've got a big turn up ahead, so we want to slow down for that. Otherwise, I don't know if we're going to make it. And look at that, we are pushing 100 kilometers. And still the road continues on. So that means if we hit 99, that means we'll be at 5,160 kilometers. That's insane. Considering the road theoretically technically ends at 5,000. Which I guess then means at some point throughout our travels over the last 2.5 years, we have put an extra 160 kilometers off the road somewhere. And that includes our shortcuts. So we have a lot of speed. I really don't want to lose this momentum. So I think we're just going to continue flying for just a minute. We're going to go past the 100 kilometers, but we got a lot of speed. I do not want to lose it. So actually, let's see. Let's just cut the engine off. Drive off the road because I hit the wrong key not looking. And we're going to coast until we start losing some of this insane speed. Man, look at that. We're still... Oh, it's starting to drop off. I was really worried we were going to clip that tree. That would have been terrible. Oh, that would have been so bad. Alright, so it looks like we're slowing down. So I'll tell you what, let's just go ahead. We did an extra 4 kilometers today. 5,165 kilometers. And I think that's what we're going to call it, guys. So I do not know where the end of the road is. I know it's not right here. So, yeah, we're going to call it here, guys. I don't know what to tell you other than we're going to do it again next week. We will see how it goes. Maybe we can get to the end of the road at some point. I don't know. But, yeah, we'll get there eventually. So, guys, thank you so much for watching. As always, I really do appreciate it. I'm Logan. This is The Long Drive, and I will catch you next time.